We're going to do Super Seller Sunday.
Super Seller Sunday.
Yes. Welcome to Super Seller Sunday. Can you believe it? I have the actual Arkansas online flea market general, Christopher Sean Thompson.
Oh, no.
I wanted to go over our Fix It Friday that we did, the experiment, our social experiment from last week, and just kind
Okay.
of review the results and talk about some of the good things and the bad things that may have come out of it.
Terrific.
When we're talking about these numbers, I want to show you exactly, what our viewers actually thought about the experiment. So before we talk about that, let's talk about what the experiment was. We asked people to put their shops and their profiles on so that everybody could come and take a look. The challenge was to come on everybody's profiles, to go to at least 10 people and click on their listings, like, save, and also follow their shop.
I believe that was the assignment. Yes.
Okay, so after everybody did that, let's go to the results really quick. Let me share my screen. Okay, so what we had was 96 people said they didn't feel like it did anything for their views and a boost in sales. 27 people said they said yes, 20 people said not sure, and then somebody added slightly on for 3 votes.
Regular marketplace listings is just basically a save or share, correct? There's not a like.
Correct.
So it doesn't generate likes. I feel that something like this, a shop, would get more traction from just simply because of the extra option of the like.
Now, one thing that someone did say, and I want to show this to you, so let me share my screen again. When you're looking at the comments at the very end, Katie said there was one specific item I asked for others to interact with that had 0 views for weeks, and I got it sold within a few days. So I don't know if the interaction worked, but it sure seems like it. So what Katie did was she just put that one item on and asked people to just look at
Right.
that one item versus looking at the profile and everything like that.
Well, focusing and targeting just on one item, I mean, that's great for that item, but as far as an actual data point, it's too far skewed to really, you
I
know
think
what I
the
mean? It's
yeah, I think the experiment was actually really good and it helped quite a few people. Obviously, 29 people ish that thought so. With the amount of people are on Facebook and on Marketplace, it's hard to be able to tell. I guess, can you explain how many people are actually on the Marketplace space, how many shops there are, how much competition there is out there versus like maybe a year ago?
well, the big explosion on marketplace, of course, happened. COVID ushered in sellers like no other. It did not usher in as many buyers for obvious reasons. People needed to make money. They started looking around at options, ways they could do that. Whereas it did bring some more buyers, the bulk was sellers. Some of these numbers aren't, as of right now. However, they are as of this year. Most of them, I think the earliest one would be around May. And in May, there were 250 million shops. That's just Facebook shops. There's roughly 2.1, 2.2 billion Facebook users. Less than 10% of those are in the US. There's varying numbers. Some, let's just, I'm going to use 250 million for just a round number because some speculate 300 million, some are closer to the 200 million. So we'll split the difference. It's 250 million overall Facebook users. That's every man, woman, and child. 15% of Facebook users come onto Facebook to buy something. That is statistically the average. The average person on Facebook, the biggest demographic is it's an older crowd versus, let's say, Instagram and of course TikTok. I mean, that's where your younger crowd is. I think the reason for that is they're comfortable with Facebook. They learned how to use Facebook. Facebook's like a country road to them, whereas Instagram, they've been hurled out on the interstate at 90 miles an hour. Out of the 250,000, you only have about 90 million of people that are actually on Marketplace. Now we're starting to whittle this. Everybody likes to think billions of users on Facebook. We're only about 3 degrees into it, and we have chopped our billions. Let's say half of the 100 million are sellers and half are buyers. We know that that number leans harder to sellers than buyers, but let's just split it in half. So let's say we got 50 million buyers. Okay, we haven't put any listings on Marketplace yet. All we're dealing with is shops. Shops are broadcasting in the Marketplace. 250 million shops. If each one of them had one item, we're at a 5 to 1. They don't have one item. They have hundreds and they have thousands. This is where the numbers start coming back to your 2.1 billion, but it comes back as listings. Now the problem is this listing number continues to grow and grow and grow. If every one of the 250 million Facebook users were all on Marketplace, the listings still blow the numbers out of the water by a tremendous amount. And it's only getting more and more competitive. When you start really looking at it, you can't look at it as in, back when everything was first going, I think everybody had the same notion. There's billions of people on Facebook, and we just threw stuff out there and it sold and it was great. Shipping got introduced, and shipping changed the landscape forever. It's no different than what the internet has done to use a good example, baseball cards, comic books. It leveled the playing field for a lot of collectible type items because now you could find it anywhere. That's what the internet did. You didn't have to go to all these trade shows and all these swaps to find your collectibles. It was just a click away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what has happened to Marketplace. When shipping came in, we all became nationwide. Our little local market and our little niches changed. And what else changed was a lot of our local customers became sellers too, a lot out of necessity. So right now we are listing into a market to where 1 in a million isn't a saying, it's a reality. Reality is it's more than 1 in a million. It's 1 in 10 million. When you're listing things online, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing that'll make my listing rise? Facebook's got billions to choose from.
We have this low and no views problem, so to speak. What is it that we need to do to raise the bar on our listings? We, did the social experiment to put our listings out there to get a little bit of activity to spur the bots to say, hey, you know what, this listing is great. Let's boost it. Let's put it up farther so that other people can take a look at it. And I think it worked for some people, and other people felt like maybe it didn't. And I'm not sure if maybe they weren't great listings. I hate to say that, and I don't want to offend people by saying that, but not all listings are great. I've got probably about 500 listings, and I promise you not all of them are great. I do have some really great ones though, just so you know. But anyway, I guess the question is what is it do you think that we need to do to combat this low and no views problem that we all feel like we have at the moment?
I look at Facebook differently because Facebook is not a selling site. It wasn't designed to be a selling site. It's not eBay. It never will be eBay. It's not what it. The marketplace was added to Facebook just to build the community a little bit more and bring that feature in. I'll make the statement a lot of times and say, look at what all they give us for free. And the answer is always, no, they don't. We pay 5%. You don't have to pay 5% because you can use your own shipping. You can, if you use a shop, sometimes the promos are so good, you actually get paid for using them. The 5%, just to touch on that, okay, if you took your own payment methods and you had to file your own state taxes in every state that you're selling things in, which is a reality, you would have to collect those state taxes and you would have to remit them to every single state. You can't do both of those things for 5%. So let's just take the 5% off the table because you don't have to use Facebook to do it. It'll cost you more than if you do. So Facebook's obviously not in it to profit. Once you take that element away, you're like, okay, well, why would they do that? Because it creates content for the platform. It's something else to offer the audience to thumb through to keep them on Facebook. We have to ask ourselves, oh, Facebook is offering this to me. Now, granted, there are glitches, there's this, that, there's hiccups, everything. And depending on what group you're in or whatever, you can be in a Facebook group and you can read the gripes. And if you go to a Poshmark group, you're going to read gripes, and it's going to be about Poshmark and Macari. So,
Great.
uh, when things are great, groups are quiet. Unfortunately, that's the truth. You could get on one of these, and I tell people, try to stay off the groups if you're not already in a good mood. And the reason is you could post on one of these groups that you found $1 million in a duffel bag at the end of your driveway. You'll get three of these. Somebody will say congratulations and then crickets. Tell them that a buyer made a complaint, gave you a 3-star review because one of the shoelaces on the pair of shoes that you sent out was dirty at the end of it. That post will rage for 2 days. Oh my goodness. I had one that did this. Oh, you ain't going to believe this. Boy, wait till you hear what this one did. You know what? Back in 2018, it's like you're carrying this for this long. What gives? But anyway, negative seems to flow. So Facebook, they do this for the platform as engagement, keep people on. You already know that your listing is like a drop of water in the ocean. What are you bringing to the table? Now, when you take the fact that every one of your products is the greatest product ever listed, you have the prettiest listings, you have the best prices, you are the most superior Facebook salesman. You've been waiting, you're probably up for an award. Okay, once you take that off the table, what's left? What are you really doing to separate yourself from everybody else? Because everybody thinks the exact same thing. You have to really look at people that are selling and see what it is. Go through Marketplace, find things that are very similar to yours, and just click on the sellers and find those ones they have massive review numbers. Comb through their listings. Find out what's their secret sauce. Whatever you see on their listings, that's all a potential buyer sees. So they've put everything on the table. You might find it's just work ethic,
That's an
but
interesting.
people see the picture, the price, and you have a few words, and that's it. So at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but 90% of people that are selling are crushing everyone from sheer work ethic. They are not just listing and waiting on sales. They're promoting. They're putting videos out on their profiles. They're putting stuff out there. They're sharing it. They're not sharing every one of their listings on groups. They're making a video or something and sharing that on the group. Don't burn people out with 50 of your listings. You'll just get kicked off the group. Make something that's entertaining. Have a monkey throwing poop. Who cares? Everybody's going to laugh. And at the end, by the way, visit my listings, come to my group, entertain them a little bit. Just constantly throwing listing after listing after listing after listing after listing, you're not helping yourself. You're not helping yourself as far as promotion.
The way I see it is, I have listings that'll take off and I have listings that won't. And, sometimes if I know something is good or I feel very confident that it's good, it doesn't mean the public is perceiving it in the same way that I put it out there. However, there are some things that if I go and I relist it later on, it'll take off. But what I have noticed is there are good times and bad times to put things up. My mom kind of calls it the wheel, catching the wheel. And I do believe that Facebook has their own wheel. With one person has something that's popular, if I have the same exact thing and it does nothing and it just sits stagnant, they obviously got more activity than I did. And there is something to be said for when it first goes on, what kind of activity is it going to get in the first part of it being listed?
They follow a little bit of the same. They go out to an audience. And listings, just like posts or anything else, are driven by engagement. They have to clear checkpoints. Just because someone doesn't buy it, if people like it and people share it, it's getting momentum. It's clearing checkpoints. We've seen one listing, 5 views, 15, 20, 100, 200. We've seen one blow through the roof, while other ones are just sitting there doing nothing. And it's like,
Mhm.
what is it? Well, that one has cleared, it's triggered something and it's cleared the checkpoints and it's running. They're not all going to do that. Boy, I tell you what, back in the day, whenever marketplace listings were being shown on Facebook newsfeed and shipping was brand new on marketplace, you could sell anything because everything was clear. Facebook had it cranked wide open. I'm sure there's no one watching. If you don't know what I'm talking about, late last year, early this year, then you weren't on marketplace selling because it was literally both barrels blazing. I mean, I was filling 2 and 3 postal carts a day.
Well, hold on a second. I'm going to stop you really quick because what you're saying is
Yeah,
actually really, really important. Last year, and maybe people don't realize that, our listings were actually in the feed of people
yes.
that they can see it. They're not there anymore. It's only on Marketplace. So when you're talking about low and no views, that could be a huge reason why, or probably is one of the main reasons why you're not getting as much traction on your listings, is because it's not in the main feed anymore.
Real quick, because I know you've got it keyed up where you could do it. Let's show people what the listings look like that show up on the Facebook news feed from a shop. Let's show an example of that on the screen.
Well, this is my regular
Any
news feed.
page, yeah, any pages that you're following. Okay, there's one of your page posts right there that you schedule and
Yep.
put out, and go ahead at the top. It just looks better, but you know it when you see one of these. Anyway,
There's one right there.
we could the main advantage to the shops and to the pages isn't just marketplace. It's the fact that every time you create a collection in your keep wanting to say closet. I can't stand Poshmark. It's drilled closet in my head. But anyway, uh, so every time that you make a new collection in your shop, in your catalog there, all of your followers, it sends a real nice looking, hey, this shop that you follow just created a new collection. Or when you add a new item, you can add 5 or 10, and then it says this shop you follow just added new items. And they don't just see one, they see the 5 or 10. That the Facebook algorithm takes your pictures and really organizes them very nicely on the, you know what I'm talking about. They
Mhm.
truly look good and they look professional. And that's free. It's being generated. You have to cultivate that audience. I started out in June and wanted to dissect building an audience, and I did not use any of the services where you can get followers and likes. Proof of this, and anybody can go on my page and verify that this is a fact. I have 4,120 something friends on my Facebook profile. On my Facebook page, I have, I'm hoping to go past 18,000 today
Nice.
followers with just under 17,000 likes. I started this in June. Only 11 of my friends follow my page or shop,
Wow.
and all but 2 of those are after they became my friend after I started this. My mother and my girlfriend follow my page. Other than
They
that,
better.
it is 100% organically grown off of, this is the part that's going to surprise people, memes and entertaining videos. Nothing to do with the videos had the product. I figured out running a video about a minute long, 45 seconds to a minute, that's got special effects. It's got pictures of your items, but use music that's a good hook. I've used Alan Parsons' "Eye in the Sky." Gets a great. Uh, it's awesome for gaining followers. Any old song that's the demographic that fits what you're trying to sell. If you want to sell the LED lights for the four-wheel drive trucks, well, put together a really cool video that's a minute long and don't play Barry Manilow. Play some Waylon Jennings or something on it. Hey, two or $3 a song and get a remake of the song that you can use in your ads. But play something, because here's the goal. You want them to be scrolling through and they hear it and like, oh, that's cool. They don't even realize, and they're watching it. Well, they hit like. Okay, well, they just followed your page. They don't know it. Who knows if they like the song or the likes? What you know is from now on, when you post things, they're going to see it. And that's how you build an audience. You can't build an audience trying to sell them something, it doesn't work. You build an audience by warming them up and giving them something, entertain them a little bit, give them something, then ask, hey, come take a look at this. You can actually make them very comfortable with you. And once you get to the point to where they're so comfortable, the first few times you do it, they're not going to share. They're going to just and that's fine. Eventually you're really going to hit them and they're going to go, man, this guy or this guy, this shop, they're always, I got to share this. That little linear, your little tree there just grew a branch. That's what I mean when I say you need to engage. And don't be afraid to like other people's stuff. There's plenty of this. Follow other pages, share other pages' listings. It can't hurt you, it can only help you. If you build an island and you're sitting on the island and you're like, I don't want to share anybody because I'm afraid of the competition, that's no way to be. You've got to jump out there and be part of it.
One of the reasons why I wanted to do this with you, and we kind of collaborated when we talked about the Fix It Friday, where we did this social experiment. I wanted to have you back on here so that we could talk about this. And for me, I believe that it's a social experiment that worked a lot better than people think, because if we're interacting like what you're talking about with each other's posts, and we're really diving in, and that one person who talked about just that one listing, that she just posted that listing and that listing got sold, maybe that was a better way to put it than having our entire profiles. But as far as shops go, when you're following the shops, you're talking about the momentum that's being created and starts to explode and create, what you use the example of a tree, and growing this great big huge tree of people and supporters and followers and everything like that, that becomes almost like its own social media platform that stands almost on its own every time you do something. And I think that's fantastic, with the power of what the shops can do versus what just your personal profile on Marketplace can do. I think you can take a lot of your listings and just don't hide them. Don't keep them to yourself. Put them out there. Find different groups to put them to. If you have something random, you're not going to put it on, like a Coca-Cola collectible, put it on a regular group, but maybe find Coca-Cola groups to post to, where people actually
Absolutely.
get into that kind of stuff. Instead of just saying, okay, I've got, 20 local online buy sell groups and post to that. That's just too random. If you have something specific, find that group and add it to that group so that it can gain the interest that it needs to be able to sell.
You have to target. You're only going to get so much exposure. Everybody wants a piece of the time that these buyers are online. Everybody is competing for this piece of time. Let's say in some imaginary world that everybody's going to get equal time.
Mhm.
Let's say no matter how much you perform or engage, it's irrelevant. So now we're all on an even playing field. If my time comes up and I try to sell my beach balls in a skateboarding group, I wasted my time. Marketplace, you used to be able to throw a net and now you have to angle it a little bit more.
When you go fishing, you don't just go and throw your line out. Well, sometimes we do, but you do some research and find out, well, where's the honey hole at? Where do I put this at? And a lot of that is, researching and saying, is this a product that people want? Is it something, how do I make it look and present it the way, people are going to want it? And then putting it out there in the right spots so that people will buy it. It's really just fishing on a business playing field.
Instead of just listing blindly, just put a little bit more into it.
Mhm.
Because you get out what you put in. When I started this, I started with selling old glass, but I didn't know who really bought old glass. To be honest, I didn't have much knowledge in old glass, but I knew who did, the groups that are about old glass. So I went and joined the groups, and I never commented or anything. I looked at what they posted that they liked, because they post pictures of things they like. I did that, and then started looking at their profiles, what age bracket they were in, what areas they were in. And I built my demographical profile off of trolling the groups. Just call it what it is. Research, make sure you're in the right category. Make sure you're tagging, you're hitting your right demographic. That's my main advice to anyone, is just don't throw it out there blindly. The time that you are given for exposure, just don't waste it. Instead of looking at the views, look at your listings. Everything should be focused on elevating yourself and moving forward. To put something out and just wait on results, and when you're not getting those results, to sit there and instead of doing a little more inward looking, to just keep outward looking at, go on any group and just type in, I didn't get any views today. Yourself a cup of coffee, because here it comes. You're going to get comments so everybody's in the same boat, but I use the term everybody loosely because some aren't. Some are killing it. Don't spend all your time just listing. There's another side to this business, and if you ignore it, the business will ignore you. I promise you. Everything at
Right?
the
The social media
day,
side.
you have to reflect inwards. Being a person while recovering from an injury, down to my last $12, bought a box of junk and sold it out of my truck, to what I'm doing now. I've been views, I've been there, everything, and I did figure out how to network it, and I get the rewards off. That's all I
That's
have to say
awesome.
about it.
If you guys want to get a hold of Sean, I will put the links below. He has his own group as well as is in our group. So come join our group, go join his group. His is all about shops. Come and join us. We have lots to say, obviously. And thanks for joining us today.
All right. Happy selling, everybody. Keep your chin up. This is quarter four. Get your piece of it.
That's right.